Geralt and Yennefer were reunited, but something even more important happened in Vizima. Geralt learned that Cirilla, his one-time ward, had returned from afar, and she was in danger. He was to find her at the Emperor's command and Yennefer's behest.
Okay, so last time around, at least stream-wise, not so much YouTube video-wise, we did make it complete White Orchard and then make it into Vizima here, where we met the Emperor and talked to, well, Yennefer. And so, one thing that I should note is I did, relative to last time around, I did bump up the audio a little bit in the game, because there were some people saying that it was a little bit on the quiet side, so I bumped it up a bit. It does seem like there are some parts that are just, for whatever reason, significantly quieter than others. For example, that animated cutscene, whenever we seem to have one of those, for some reason those are like half the volume. So hard to balance around that, but hopefully that makes things a little bit better. And I do remember that this guy, we tried playing Gwent against this guy a bazillion times, or at least it felt like a bazillion times, and we were not successful. So, I would very much like to beat him. What on earth is this lady doing? She is moonwalking, and doing it quite well, to be honest.
Civilization ends at this cow's moment.
But apparently, it's the end of civilization, so, I suppose we'll let you go. So let's try giving this another shot. Gwent, play me. Okay, so I think we tried it twice before, and we failed. My guess is that based on how it seems like this guy's cards are just way better than ours, that we either need to get really lucky or we need to play really well. And therefore, let's minimize the number of coins that we're betting on this, because we're probably going to need to do several rounds of this before we're successful. So we'll give this a shot again.
Wouldn't mind a few rounds of cards.
And again, it has been a week since I have last played, so I don't exactly recall what our strategy or strategies were last time round. So we'll be giving this a little bit of a fresh start, a new perspective. Oh, I also didn't realize that I was actually adding a card when I did that, and I think that's actually not a great card that we would prefer to outright remove. So let's do that. And then we'll start. So one other thing, or a couple of other things I think that I wanted to mention. Let's just see. Use your card to redraw. Any junk cards here that we definitely want to dump? Do like having the spy in our hand to begin with, because that gives us some flexibility. We can say, you know, do we have a lot of extra firepower in the first round? Okay, maybe we risk giving the spy to our opponent and try to give ourselves some additional card draw for future rounds. I think I do kind of like this hand. I don't think we need 2 torrential rains. But I think we can definitely swap out one of those. I don't think I've ever seen us use this card. I don't think I've ever seen it at all. But, okay. Medic. Choose one card from your discard pile and play it instantly. Whoa! That seems insanely good. Okay, I like that. Other than that, we could swap out one of our 4s here. Namely, probably Sheldon. It's a bit of a risk, because he's on the lower end of the cards we currently have. Chances of us drawing something better than a 4 still maybe not great, but I think we give it a shot. And we got, okay, a different weather card. So, one other thing that I wanted to mention is just a little bit of a reminder, is that obviously we're doing this as a blind playthrough. So, that is to say that, things are definitely not going to be perfect, and that's kind of the idea of it, though, is, if we were to try to do everything perfectly and get an 100% clear, then I kind of feel like we'd just be playing this game with a checklist and going down item by item on that list and being like, okay, have we done this? Yes, no, carry on. And, you know, a robot can do that. So I feel like for that reason, we're gonna give it our best shot. This is generally speaking across the board for Witcher 3. We're gonna give it our best shot, and we're gonna see what happens. And sometimes we're gonna mess up, but that's part of the fun of it. Is that you know, we're gonna see what happens after all that stuff, and hopefully we'll live and we'll learn from it. So, anyways, carrying on with this game of Gwent. So this guy played a 2, and that 2 does double if he has another card of this sort that he plays next to it. So it's a little bit stronger, or at least potentially stronger than first impression might suggest. So let's be wary of that and not totally just be lackadaisical with this first round. This is our lowest ranking card still, a 4, and it does have the same property to it where it also gets additional power, or additional strength, I technically should say, if we have another card with the same name that we place next to it. Granted, we don't, at least not currently, have one of those. So that, it's kind of like we're parroting what he's doing, except we don't have the special follow-up to go along with it. But it is twice as powerful, so if he does double up there, then we are still tied with him. Although if I remember correctly, Nilfgaard's thing is that they win ties or something like that? I don't know. I vaguely remember that there was a time when we were tied and it said that he won a tiebreaker for some reason. This guy is just a plain and simple 3, it seems. What does this do? Oh, this removes all weather cards. I was going to say, this looks way too peaceful to weaken something. Oh, other caveat. I was extremely sleepy, like zombie-like today. So there is, I'd say I'm working on like maybe -2 initiative and -3 decision-making. So some along the lines of mistakes are going to be made. I'm going to do some stupid things today in all likelihood. So, again, we'll just, we'll brace for them, and we will embrace them. So, as for when and what those things might be, we will just have to see. But, could certainly happen in Gwent. It might happen later on as the night gets a little later, but we'll see. I'm gonna read this one more time. So choose one card from your discard pile and play it instantly. No heroes or special cards. What constitutes a hero? This is our leader. Like, are these guys heroes? I mean, certainly the siege weapons aren't heroes, right? Because what I'm thinking, and I'm probably wrong about this because this is probably just my beginner's first impression here, but it seems like what you do when you have this card in your hand is you deliberately play aggressively in the first round, try to win that first round, and then in the second round, and by play aggressively I mean like play some of your highest value cards, and then in the second round you play this, and you get back your most powerful card, and in doing so, you're able to, well, play your most powerful card twice. So I think we want to be mindful of that and deliberately place some of these strong cards down, like namely our siege weapons, in this round. So let's do this. Granted, most of our strong cards here are in the siege weapon group, which potentially puts us at risk if our opponent does have something that can limit the effectiveness of siege weapons, then like lower them down to 1, then we could be in trouble. But I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves there. So, like, what I'm gonna do is I did play a 6, which is obviously a lot, but granted they went first, so they've played 3 cards, we've only played 2, and we're only 1 behind. So I think we do still go aggressive here, play another siege weapon, And my hope is that our opponent passes here. They did not. I don't recall what that does. It doubles the damage of everything in this row? Is that what it does? Doubles the strength of all units in that row. Limited to 1 per row. Okay, so theoretically, they could continue to pile things up in the ranged row, and they would be very effective there. I mean, at the moment, that's only the same effectiveness as playing a 6, which is what we did in the previous round. So it's not like it was a huge move, but at least in the short term. In the long term, if they continue to play strong cards there, then it's going to be very difficult to win on that. So, win on this round, I should say. So I think, again, we continue to play strong cards. Maybe we start to deliberately diversify a little bit here. And instead of going all-out siege, we throw in the occasional ranged weapon, ranged character. So we'll play Kira, I guess. Okay, that was a 5, and what is it, another guy who gets double damage if you put someone next to him with the same name? Yeah. Okay, so fortunately, they're making it so that they can't do that with everyone, because, well, at least on one side, they do not have people with the same name. So that's a little bit encouraging, but we're still investing really heavily in this round. We could... What is this one? Sets the strength of all sieged up to 1. Maybe that's a reason to actually deliberately invest in siege this round and hold on to this as a bit of a trump card for future rounds when we don't have as much siege stuff going on and they do. So we obviously don't want to play that this round. Granted, maybe the combination of these two might be a little bit intriguing. You play this after you've already played a bunch of siege cards, and your opponent has already played a bunch of siege cards. Your opponent is like, oh my goodness, you just made it so that my score is suddenly terrible. I have so little strength compared to you. I'm gonna pass. And then in the next round, or maybe not, I don't know, but then you can undo it in the next round. Be like, surprise, I was just kidding. And maybe you get them to make a brash decision for one turn, which is maybe more so a thing that would happen against a real person, not a computer. So I might be overanalyzing that, but I'm just gonna keep on attacking powerful cards here, and we are investing big time in this round. Oh my god, and you get doubled to 20. How on earth can we possibly win this round? I actually don't think we can. So despite throwing all that stuff in there, like, this is kind of what I mean with our opponent just having objectively better cards than us. This is 32 damage, 32 strength with just 3 cards. We don't have 32 across the 5 cards that we've played. So there's just very little we can do to win in that case, unless we... Ooh, excuse me, sorry. Unless we basically commit to saying, well, we could deliberately throw in the spy here, throw in the white flag, say, okay, you're definitely winning this, we can at least get some additional cards out of it. And that would be really unfortunate, but I honestly don't think there's any other way to look at this round, because otherwise, what do? Even if we throw in our 2 remaining 5s that actually apply on our side, we're still sitting on 37, which doesn't help us at all. Our weather card weakens us, doesn't weaken our opponent at all. So, yeah, I think we actually need to play Stennis here, and we have probably already lost not only this round, but every other round as well. Unless this miraculously gives us amazing cards here. Which, we did get a decent one, a 6 here. What does his leader card do? Because he just used it. Look at 3 random cards in your opponent's hand. Again, that's a good example of a card where I have no idea what that does when we are playing against the CPU. I don't really know. Do these guys have anything of note? All right, we have the medic still, so we'll be able to recover a little bit based on that, but I think we did not do so well in this first round, and again, it's not so much we could have done about it, because the front row wasn't too bad. These guys, we could have beaten our opponent in this round if they had just continued to use these relatively weak melee enemies or melee cards and not actually use the type bond. We don't have it, but not actually use the type bond that these guys have. We could have pulled it off, but as soon as they started throwing in big cards and doubling them in the ranged row, we were clearly pretty toast. So I think we need to pass here. And we probably don't have enough ammunition remaining for either of the next two rounds. So we're in trouble. But we'll see if there's any way to still rescue this. Oh. I was gonna say, surely you're not playing a 1. Wait, hold on. Choose one card from your discard pile and play it instantly. No heroes or special card. Why did you just play... What? Did our opponent just do something really stupid? Is this an example of a CPU actually helping us because it's a CPU? So he played a medic. I was gonna say that would be kind of fortunate if he happened to play just a 1 and not have anything else of note on that card, because that might be a way in which we'd be able to, you know, build up a little bit of additional strength relative to him. But then I saw it was a medic, and I was like, okay, well, he's going to bring back a powerful card, and then we're still going to be toast. Except he brought back the spy, which means that it goes back to our side, so instead of making him more powerful, he made us more powerful. So, unless there's some aspect of that I'm not really grasping at the moment, that does kind of really seem like he just objectively made a horrendous move. So, thank you. Still probably not going to be enough, but we'll play our own medic here. And then we will bring back one of our own cards. Probably going to do one of these siege weapons here, because these guys are lower, and although Blue Stripes Commando does have the Type Bond perk as well, or whatever those additional modifiers are called, we don't have any other Blue Stripe Commandos, so it's not going to do us any good. So we'll just take whatever is the highest, and I don't know, Trebuchet at night. We instantly play it, so that does mean we have a huge advantage at the moment. But granted, he has cards that deal 10 damage, and we have 6 as our highest. So that does make it tough. That does make it tough. Like right now, we are still winning. Ideally, what would happen is we could say, okay, we kind of just want to settle for this right now without actually passing, because we're winning, but I'd rather not throw in a 5 or a 6 if we don't need to, because we're already winning. We don't need to invest even more in this round, because we need to save something for the next round, if in fact we do win. So I think for that reason, we deliberately play this, and it will do nothing, but it is a way of making sure that we are not pressing the pass button. So that way, if our opponent does get aggressive here and do something like double the damage of, say, his siege weapons, and now suddenly take the lead, we're still able to jump in here with a little bit of a counter, because otherwise, if we had passed in that previous turn, we would have already lost. Now here, our opponent is giving us the win, which is already more than I was expecting. Now, there's not anything else we can do here to help us out. So we're just taking this win for this round, and it's sudden death in the last round here. When we have one card, we're going to draw another because we're Maria. And the Northern Realms, I'm sorry. But 10 damage, I'm assuming, is definitely not going to be enough. We do have the card that lowers siege weapon damage or strength down to 1. and our 2 remaining cards are not siege weapons, so that is actually helpful, but I still am highly skeptical that that will be enough. So we'll see what happens here. Because, yeah, 10 is absolutely the most damage that we can do. And he has already played a 10. It is not in the row that we can weaken. So we can tie here. Presumably he's about to play another card that will make him stronger, unless he wants to give us a spy. Now, so he's going to use a weather effect that is actually helpful for him. And we can throw... Oh, actually, hold on. Hold on. That does mean there's a use for this. Now, I don't know order of operations-wise. If we use this, can we later use this, Torrential Rain? So what I'd like to do is clear the effect in the melee row to get Zoltan back up to 5, and then play this, the Torrential Rain, so that if he has any plans of playing a powerful siege weapon in the future, he has reason not to do so. I mean, still, any siege weapon is going to be enough to give him 11 points to our 10, so it's still going to be a loss in all likelihood, but we shall see if he gifts us anything again. And he has not done so, so can confirm we have lost, as we are incapable of going any higher than 10, and our opponent has now reached 13. So we'll play this, because it is the only thing that we can do at this point. Oh, actually, hold on, there is one more thing we can do. Our opponent passed. Wait a second, can we win this? Oh my goodness, we might actually be able to win this. Take an impenetrable fog card from your deck and play it instantly. That, I believe, is the one that makes range go down to 1, in which case we would have 6, he would have 4. We might actually somehow win this. It weakens us, but it weakens him way more. What? Excuse me? How did our opponent win the round? What? It didn't do anything. Excuse me? Did you just see that? It's supposed to weaken everyone to 1. Or did the cleansing, like the bright weather effect that we played in the previous round actually make it so that that did not affect anything in the subsequent round? Like I was speculating, or in the subsequent turn, like I was speculating before. I didn't know order of operations wise. Is it such that once you clear out any weather effects, that also does so going forward? In which case, we might have actually, or we did actually throw it in that case. So we would have won had we not played that in that scenario, assuming that he wasn't holding on to a siege weapon that he would have otherwise played, although it's the last round, so why wouldn't? Okay, so definitely our closest one yet, and somehow we almost won it. I honestly thought it was impossible for a very long time there, and maybe it still was? No, I think there definitely was a way. There definitely was a way if we were smarter with those weather cards at the end there.
Wouldn't
So
mind a few rounds of cards.
let's give it another shot. And I hesitate to say this, but maybe we're learning? Maybe? And ultimately, you know, if we're losing one coin per attempt, then okay, we'll live. Okay, so who do we want to dump? Yeah, I think I know. I think I know the answer to that. This hand, I don't know, may not look quite as good as the ones we had last time round. Okay, getting Zoltan instead does seem like a significant upgrade, so that's very nice. We can redraw one more card. These guys do give +1 to all units in the siege row, excluding itself. So if we look at our total number of siege cards, how valuable is that? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, excluding the card that we play there, so we'll give +3 So this is really, functionally, these are both 4s. Assuming that we do play all of our siege cards in the same round, which may or may not end up happening. If that doesn't end up happening, then it's worse than a 4. And that's kind of notable because if it's worse than a 4, then these are our worst cards, in which case we should swap one of them out. If we swap one of them out, then the remaining one gets even worse, so I think actually because in that case, then the remaining Kedwenny Siege Expert becomes effectively a 3. I think we actually swap out the Blue Stripes Commando. And we got another Siege guy. Okay, so that actually does bump them all up to effectively 5s, assuming that we play them all in this first round. Also, which are 2 spoilers here, but why is Sheila not a spy? And yet Stennis is? That makes no sense to me, but anyways. So I'm thinking we kind of just have a lot of firepower here. Not a lot of creative cards, mostly just cards with strength on them and not much else. So I think what we do here is on the first round, we will go all out on the siege weapons. And then hopefully take this first round as a victory. And then as for whether we try to win the second round or the third round, not sure, but then we'll have this Torrential Rain in our back pocket, which will nerf his siege cards in future rounds in case he tries to go all siege on us in round 2 or round 3, and we won't have any siege cards ourselves, so we won't be at risk. That being a high, being a double-edged sword. Okay. So I'm going to continue to play these guys here. What's up, No Limit? How's it going? Just starting up with some Witcher 3 things here today, and doing some Gwent to start off with. We have played this guy several times before, and have not succeeded yet. We came oh so close last time, and I think I technically did botch it at the very end. I thought it was impossible for us to win, and then somehow we almost came up with a miraculous play, and I thought we actually had it, but not quite. Not quite. So we're giving it another go here. And we will probably need to attempt this many more times based on how this guy just seems to have way better cards than we do. So it's going to take a lot of luck, or dare I say a lot of skill, but we know that's not true. Mostly just luck. Fortunately... Oh, what did you just do? Excuse me? Excuse me? Discard after playing. Kills the strongest cards on the battlefield. Fortunately, that wasn't our strongest siege card yet. Or, well, that we had in our hand. Like, we could still play the Catapult for 8, and we will. So, theoretically, it would have been worse if he played that after we already had the Catapult out there. So, little bit of a bullet dodged. Still, obviously, not thrilled that he played that. Does put us up to 20. Oh, no! And I tempted him. Oh, dear. Ask and you shall receive. Okay, so now we're in a really tough place here, because we kind of built our entire hand around stockpiling the siege cards. So we had 3 of these guys that give +1 strength to everyone in the siege row. So it was going to be really helpful to have 2 really powerful siege cards to pair up with those guys. So we kind of would need to go all in on this first round to have any chance of succeeding. And then if we were to do that, we'd have not much left the next round, or the third round if it comes to that. So not looking great. Not looking great. I think we play a melee card here in case he does decide to, well, he could use the range nerf. Oh, actually, but we have a range nerf in our back pocket here. I'm just trying to plan in advance for the weather cards, because that is ultimately what what led to our loss last time round. So I don't think we're going to end up playing our leader card to get a free range nerf in this round. So for that reason, maybe it is actually safest to play this card now. We hope he passes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know. If we could come back to this guy later, when we have better cards, then I feel like we might stand a much better chance. But I just feel like everything needs to go perfectly in order to pull this off at this point in time. So, feeling a little bit of pressure to beat this guy. But, I don't know. So he did play his ranged 10, and I do wonder, I was just saying that we probably wouldn't use the range nerf this round, but after he plays that card, maybe that is reason to do that. What would that leave us with? We'd be on 9. Sheila would get bumped down to a 2, or to 1 rather. So it'd be 10 total. He would be 8, 10, 11. He would still be winning by 1. Yeah, I think what we do is we actually place Dennis, our spy. And we take the L on this round, get 2 more cards in hopes of somehow being able to win in future rounds. Because otherwise, if we play either Vess or Zoltan, then we have 1 card that deals damage in our hand. So there's basically 0 chance of succeeding. So I think we have to do this. Hand him the victory for this round. Got another siege weapon. Oh, now he's giving me a spy. Letting me go up in power. Now, do we get... Oh. Do we get Trixie here? Use Impenetrable Fog. Dump the 10 down to a 1. And actually take the victory in this round. Assuming that he throws in the towel after this, which I would think he would. I don't know. This round has taken many turns that I did not expect. I feel like that is actually the way to go. Then we'll have a siege nerf in our back pocket, and we'll have a remove all weapon or all weather effects in our back pocket as well, which may or may not be relevant. I think we give this a shot. I think this is potentially our best opportunity to get a victory in one of these first few rounds. Yeah, see, like, what the heck? Oh, is his thing that he not affected by any special cards or abilities? That's what I get for not reading that. I've just successfully weakened myself and not weakened my opponent. And that is actually how we lost the last round. Okay. So history repeats itself there. That's what I get for not reading it. Because we tried to do what was basically the same thing last time. And for some reason, his strength did not go down when I did it last time. And I was like, we should have won. Why didn't we win? And now I know why. So mistakes were made, and the same mistakes have happened again. But now we know. Unfortunately, that's a really good counter for a Northern Realms deck, because our leader card is completely useless against his most powerful card. So that just makes me feel like even more like we are just genuinely outmatched here. So he has passed. If we wanted to, we could theoretically dump 2 cards in here and take the win. And then hold on to just the siege card for the next round. We would get 1 card draw for winning a round, but I don't know. If we hadn't done that, then we would have had Sheila up at, what is she normally? A 5, I think? Of course, it doesn't tell us what she normally is, but I think she was a 5, in which case she would have been 22, and we could have used just 1 card and still had enough strength to win the round. But then we get into the game theory of would our opponents have passed in that situation? No real way of knowing. I think we do this. He has passed. So we take the victory in this round. Will give us 1 card draw, but we are in terrible shape for round 2 and 3, but I don't really think there's any good answer. So here, ideally what we would do is we would not play any strength cards at all, and we would just have our opponent blow through all of his good cards, and then jump in round 3 for a coasting victory, but it is our turn first, and we need to play something. So otherwise we just pass immediately, and we have made no progress. So I'm thinking one of the 2 weather effects. I think we play the torrential rain on the assumption that when we are actually trying to win, we're not going to want that because our most powerful remaining card is a siege weapon. Everyone walks into that one. Yep, well, now I think I know. Well, I've read the card now, so hopefully I will not make that mistake for 3 times in a row. But here we go. Can we still rescue it? Probably not. But I don't know. Stranger things may have happened. Last game, it really looked like we were just absolutely toast, and we almost pulled off a last-second come-from-behind victory. So maybe there is still a shred of hope. Now, I'm going to continue to just throw random weather effects here on the hope that our opponent is going to play another card with strength, or play a spy and give us cards. That would be amazing. We have no real reason to do that, but play something good here and just waste it. I don't remember what that does. You did play it last time. That is your leader card, but remind me. Look at 3 random cards in your opponent's hand. Well, we have 2 cards, so you do know what those cards are now. And again, I really don't know how that affects what the opponent does when it's a computer. But we can't do anything at this point without sacrificing one of our 2 remaining cards here. So I think we kind of need to pass. Like we need to, I mean, we were anticipating we would take the loss in round 2 here. We were hoping that our opponent would probably invest a little more heavily or do something stupid to help us out for round 3, or in anticipation of round 3, but no such luck this time. So, yep, we know they won that one. The question is there any way at all to eke out a win here? And you playing a 6 to start things off is not a good sign. So, I mean, we can play R6. I feel like it might actually be better to hold off on R6. I would say to not show our cards and potentially get our opponent to nerf the siege weapons, but quite literally our opponent did just see our cards, so assuming that the computer is capable of remembering what our cards are, not sure that is going to do much for us, and that now makes our opponent unbeatable. So we have definitively lost. So they have passed, and we have nothing that we can do to raise our strength. So it is defeat. I'm not sure if we're getting closer, because the previous game was probably better than that one. But we are learning. We are learning. So this will probably end up turning into an 100% Gwent stream at this rate. But you know what? We were talking about it earlier. Mistakes are going to be made.
Cards.
Just embrace them. Just embrace them. Start this thing up. One of these days, we will teach this guy a lesson, and he will give us, presumably, cards when we do ultimately beat him. And when that happens, it will be glorious, first of all. And second of all, hopefully they're decent cards that make it so that we do not struggle as much against future opponents. Granted, I think there is a way to turn down the difficulty when you're playing Gwent against other people. I'd rather not do that. Did we just attempt to redraw this card and get the same card? Lovely. And I'm not sure what it was that we ultimately got in return. Don't remember. No, we already had Sabrina. I think we already had these siege weapons. We do have a fairly siege-heavy hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have this guy who gives +1 to all units in the siege row. That means he has his own 1, and he's giving, assuming that we play all these 3 at the same time, +3, so effectively he's more like a 4. Thing is, we probably want to wait to do that, because one of those siege characters, one of the siege cards, is a medic that allows us to take 1 card back from our discard pile, and presumably we want to make sure that that's a strong card that we do that with. Because if we do that in round 1, there just won't be any cards to do that with, unless if maybe we start playing siege cards with high strength values and our opponent is like, I'm going to play that card that destroys the strongest card on the field right now. And then we go, surprise, we're bringing it right back. But that seems like we can't really do that at this point, because that's too speculative. Granted, we don't have much else power-wise. This is the range reducing to 1, so again, not that effective, given how his most powerful card is immune to that, and we already have it on our hero, on our leader card, so I'm a little conflicted here as to whether or not we ought to go the siege route or not. It seems like there are reasons to do it and there are reasons not to do it. Reasons not to do it, like I said, we'd like to save the medic. Reasons to do it, we don't have much else. Do we deliberately... I don't know. I actually don't know. I think we play this guy, because we're not going to be at risk of nerfing ourselves with the impenetrable fog. It's potentially throwing away what would have been a nice add-in to whichever round we were planning on winning, but at worst, maybe it's the card that we bring back with the medic. I'd rather do that with a better card, but we'll see. I'm trying to be a little more strategic about it, because clearly I'm not doing so well with this thus far. But it might just be that it's not so much a question of playing the right cards as much as it's just sheer volume. You know, just play any and every, or not any and every card, but play turns quickly, play games quickly, on the assumption that it's going to take us many losses before we have a victory. So, like, the play well versus play numerous times strategy. Quality or quantity. Except the quality has a little asterisk at the end of it, because, well, things probably aren't going to go terribly well. Now, this is someone who can double the strength, and he's already stronger than us, so that is a little bit concerning. I think we do start to throw in the ranged people here, because otherwise we'd have to go all in on siege, which is, as I was saying before, not really something I'm particularly keen on doing right now. So we could nerf the range row down to 1. It would affect us equally at the moment, so that's not terribly significant, especially given how the next card we would likely play would be also a range card. So I feel like this might be a throwaway turn, in which we just play this in hopes of having our opponent do something that either invest more heavily in this round or play a spy or something that actually makes it easier for us to win. So I doubt that would happen at this stage, so let's give it a shot. I don't like it, but I don't think we have much other choice. Besides maybe just passing on this round already. So he has viewed some of the cards in our hand. Which I very much don't like, because that does mean that he has not played a card. So he has not really done much to invest further in this round, as we were hoping he would do. We could do the same thing ourselves. Or play the card that is functionally the same. If we just feel like, yeah, I think we do this. Again, we're mostly doing it just to spend another turn and hopefully have our opponent do something else. Our opponent has pass. So if he saw our ranged card, which, again, I still don't understand how that works, but if he saw our ranged card, then theoretically he might know, oh, okay, if you were to play this, you would just be tied with me, so I'm not concerned about that. If we threw something else in instead, we could jump ahead. Granted, we can't do this guy because he's not strong enough. That would just be a tie. This would also be a tie, which would mean we would need to use one of our stronger cards to do that. It's not all that appealing. But if we do succeed in this round, if we do take the victory, then we do also get to draw a card. So I think we just bite the bullet, take the victory, and hope that our next card is good. That it kind of makes up for the additional investment we had to make, and that's not what I was hoping we'd get. I was hoping for more strength. Still going first? Didn't we go first in the previous round as well? I don't know. Okay, so I think what we do here is we deliberately play the siege card, the strong siege card, and we try to bait out the card that he may have that removes the strongest card on the field. And then if he does that, then we play this one, bring it back. Because otherwise, that card doesn't have a lot of good stuff going on. Just bringing back well, at this point it could. And there it is, okay. So, congratulations. You have activated my trap card. Now, granted, he might have another. Okay, he's doing something similar. Our play was a little bit stronger. So, we are currently in the lead with a card to play. So, I'm hesitant to throw in the ranged unit because we are sitting on the ranged nerf here, which may be something that we would like to ultimately end up playing. Granted, if he's about to play his hero card that has the 10 strength and is immune to those effects, then that's, not so valuable for us anyway. I think we go here. Yes, it is investing further in what is already a round that we're winning, but our opponent does need to win this round, otherwise it's game over. So that is, I suppose, kind of the strength of having won the first round, is our opponent has to win this round or else it's game over. So for that reason, I think we continue to go all in here. And we basically don't have anything else after this that could be helpful to us. So we are more or less hoping that that is the extent to which our opponent has cards to play. Because otherwise, we can play Impenetrable Fog, and we can range throw, but that hurts us more than it hurts him. Similarly, we can nerf the siege row, but that certainly hurts us more than it hurts him. So unless he plays an amazing, like 20 damage siege card, 20 strength siege card, then we're probably done here. So I'm gonna pass. So he could potentially take this. If he has another card in his hand, like that. That is just enough. So now we are very much not capable of winning. Unfortunately. Assuming that he has cards with any strength at all. Because we certainly don't. We quite literally can't deal any damage. Yeah, so might it be worth just like dumping some weather cards and throwing in some not so great strength cards just to make sure we have more strength in there? What's up, Woody Muddy? Yeah, so we're failing pretty miserably at Gwent right now, but we are, I'd like to believe, slowly and a little painfully getting better, learning from things. Well, learning from things maybe, getting better, that one's a little more up for debate. So at this point, I'm just gonna play random weather cards and hope that our opponent, for some reason, gifts us this win. Because otherwise, there is quite literally nothing we can do. Like, I'm just gonna play another weather card, and it's gonna do basically nothing. So unless you want to play a spy, no! And hand us a victory, which he has not done. Okay, so I think in that case, what we do here is, let's see, it's not here. It's Gwent deck. So not that these cards are very good, but we could potentially swap out some of our many weather cards for some of those. It's not even like we have that many of them. It's just that we seem to always be drawing them. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 weather cards, and yet in every game we have drawn more than 2. I'm sure someone could do that math, but that seems like that is actually a very low probability of that happening. You think just remove outright some of the weather cards? So I think removing Impenetrable Fog is an intriguing thought to me because we have our leader card that does exactly this. Well, actually, how is the leader card phrase? How do I actually look at the leader card? Because it doesn't seem like you want to let me... Oh no, special cards. It's technically our leader. How do I get this over to the leader? Read the description there. Move card, change leaders. We have other leaders? Oh, there is a different King Volta? What? Okay, so, not gonna lie. In White Orchard, we were looking at the shop, and the Gwent cards that they had to offer, and they showed us a King Foltest leader card. I saw it, and I was like, oh, we don't need that, we already have that. Mistake. Apparently, there are numerous iterations of King Foltest. I was assuming we would have different people as the different leaders, so I have no idea which version of King Foltest we missed out on for that reason. But yeah, see, like, the leader card says pick an Impenetrable Fog card from your deck and play it instantly. So that leads me to believe that you do still need to have one in your deck in order for that to work. Oh, I have 2 of each of them? Oh, it does say ×2. You're right. You are right. Okay, so let's definitely remove the Impenetrable Fog. I think that will make a difference. And then we could potentially remove some of the other ones as well. So we're only sitting on one of each? I don't know. It seems like, in particular against this guy, I'm tempted to actually remove... Well, no, we should keep one, just in case. One Impenetrable Fog, given how that is our leader card as well, and our leader card is useless if we don't have an Impenetrable Fog in our deck. What I was going to say is because it seems as though this guy's most powerful card is immune to specifically Impenetrable Fog, that is, against this specific opponent, a particularly weak card. So that might be reason to reduce the number of them in our deck. But I don't think we should remove it outright. Could also potentially get rid of this guy. We just remove some of the weak cards. We're allowed to go forward with just that amount, just make it more likely for us to draw the stronger cards. I think, hoping that will help. Yarpin actually is pretty bad as well. He's probably worth removing. I feel like that is actually better setup than what we've been using in the past. Get rid of the Impenetrable Fog, because this opponent can counter that pretty hard. Get rid of some of our lowest strength cards, so that we are looking at just higher probability of getting better cards. We do still have the Kedwenia Siege Expert, but that's a little misleading, the one in the top left corner there, because it can go up much higher than that if you have more siege weapons. We did remove several non-siege weapon cards, so theoretically the probability of us getting more in our hand is now higher. So let's give it a shot. I don't know how big of a difference this is going to make.
Wouldn't mind a few rounds of cards.
But hopefully this will be much better. We may have just been flooding our deck with junk. Our opponent goes first this time. I think that is to our benefit. Okay, so like here, for example, we did actually get 2 Blue Stripes Commandos, which is really good. Because they deal double damage if they're next to another Blue Stripes guy. Oh, we have lots of siege weapons as well. In addition to having a Kedwenia Siege Expert, that looks really strong. I like this hand way more than hands we've had in the past. I think we might not want to have Torrential Rain, because we're looking at a pretty siege-heavy hand. So the probability of that hurting us is pretty high. So I think we swap this out, although I'm tempted to actually just stick with what we have here and change nothing. So this does look like a very strong hand, but I'm going to take a chance here. Swap that out. And Stennis, having a spy, I think is useful in case we find ourselves in a situation where we don't like what we have, and we feel as if it's best to throw in the towel for one round, reset a little bit with some new cards for future rounds. I think I like that. But do we have to swap out another card, or can we not do that? Are we allowed to not do that? Cancel. Okay, yeah. Okay, I like what we have already. I like it more than what we've had in the past. So I think what I'm going to do in this first round is I'm going to go with the double Blue Stripes Commando route. And then ideally we would leave it at just that. And then what that does is allow us to use the super heavy siege combo in the next round. I mean, will we be able to win on just 2 cards? Maybe not, and of course our weather effect is not going to help us in that regard because this nerfs close combat units, but this might also be a leader round where if our opponent tries to use some ranged units, then I think that might be to our benefit to have that. in our back pocket as well. Now, see, like, I would really like for you to use ranged weapons that are not your hero card, and for you to rely on those. So that does double us to 16, which is good. Will that be enough to discourage you? And it actually removes both because they're tied. Wow. That is an amazing play on their hand. On their side. So this is kind of looking like a Stennis situation here. That was looking like a strong start. But I think we play Stennis. He's a spy, so we'll go to their side. We'll get 2 additional cards. Could even give him Stennis. And then use Biting Frost. And maybe follow up with a sneaky 1 or 2 cards to take a victory, depending on what we end up getting with that draw. I like Stennis here. Was hoping it was not going to be a close combat enemy or card though. Well, we did get Sheila. Oh, and he passed. Okay, so we might have this actually. I think we do. What we do is we do this. That lowers everyone in close combat down to 1. Then we play Sheila. Sheila now gives us the victory here for this first round. And ultimately, maybe we invested a little bit more than we anticipated in that first round, because we were thinking, ideally, we would use just those 2 melee units. But we threw in Stennis, and to good effect there, I think. And winning the first round does mean that we get an additional card draw here. So I think that is fine. My question here is, so I think we want to try to take the win in this round here, not even let it go to a third. So that means definitely going all out on the siege stuff. But, I was going to say, might we try to bait out another one of those cards that banishes stuff? Apparently I also forgot to mute Discord in the background, but anyways. However, we have this medic here. So I think what we can do is we can deliberately play our strongest card. If he has one of those cards that gets rid of the strongest card on the field, then we go right into playing this medic, and then we're looking much better, I think. What's up, Peach? Peach sneaking in to Twitch chat while also posting things in Discord, making them show up on the stream. Mind blown. Playing 4D chess. Okay, so I'm... Oh, what? You have Letho? Excuse me? I've not seen you play Letho before. Not affected by any special cards or abilities. Okay, so I did not see that one coming. Obviously, that's a 10, which is a little alarming, but I think we can still pull this off. And now what that does mean is that presumably he will not use the card that removes the strongest strength character, because otherwise it would remove Letho. However, I think we might be able to bait him into doing that if he does have that card. Hear me out here. We'll make our siege weapon stronger than Letho. Multitasking machine. Nice. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to go all out on the siege stuff. We're going to play the medic last. The reason for that being is every time... Or, well, actually... Oh, okay, no, I take it back. Never mind. It's not going to work. My 2000 IQ strategy is actually a 2 IQ strategy because it doesn't work. But I was thinking that we would continue to play more siege cards, and then every time we do that, they would each go up by 1 because we have this guy here. And so ultimately, this 9 would end up going to 10, 11, 12 until it's higher than Letho. We'd bait our opponent into using the card that removes the highest ranked card on the field, but that's not going to happen because we only have one of these guys, and I got spoiled by having numerous in our hand in a previous game. So these ones will all get +1, but they're not going to continue to get +1. He's going to get a card back. And he has done it again! He has brought back a spy on my side again. He did it once before. Thank you. Well, I don't actually know if these strats are any good. This is far and away the best we've done thus far. You have more 10s? What the heck? So the most important thing, Peach, is if you look at the number, the 30 next to opponent and the 29 next to Geralt, that is the total strength that we each have. And whoever has the higher strength wins the round. Best 2 out of 3 wins. And so right now he's technically winning, but I think we still have a lot of good stuff left to play. We won the first round, so we can be really aggressive here, because if we win this round, then it's game over. We win. I'm going to continue to play these siege weapons, continue to rack up our strength. He is removing the strongest card. Okay, so he did ultimately do that. I guess it's the strongest card on your opponent's side of the field. So I did kind of want him to do that because we have a nice counter for it. Now we play the medic. Now we bring it back. And I'm guessing that's going to be... Well, okay, now he's played all of his strong cards there. Still not enough to surpass us here. So that is making us look awfully good. And you know... him, for some reason, giving us an extra 5 damage by putting Stennis back on our side might end up being the deal breaker against him and for us. So, that is not how you're supposed to use spies. Normally what spies do... Uh-oh. That looks dangerous, though. Normally what spies do is, when you play them... Let's see, go over Stennis' card. When you play them, the spy actually helps your opponent, so their strength value is boosting your opponent's score, but you get to draw 2 cards, so it's kind of like accepting defeat and taking 2 cards so that you can plan for the future. What happened was I played Stennis. He was originally my card, which meant he went over to my opponent's side. Round ended. Stennis went into our opponent's discard pile. Then our opponent played a card that allowed him to bring a card back from the discard pile, and for some reason, he chose to bring Stennis back, which meant that Stennis went back on our side and boosted us, not him. So that was really strange. Okay, now the other thing we can do is we can also... use our leader card here, which uses an impenetrable fog card, which makes everything in the range row go down to 1. Well, actually that won't do anything, because this guy's already a 1, and this guy is immune to that effect. I was getting the melee row and the range row mixed up. So we do have Sabrina here, which will give us a little bit more strength, but this is closer than I thought it was going to be. It was looking really good. Man, having 3 cards in your hand that all deal 10 damage, and then also having a card that doubles the strength of all units in a row is just absurd. So let's give this a shot here. I'm hoping that's enough, that he won't be able to catch us, but he just did. Wow! I don't think that could have gone much better for us, and yet he still managed to pull out a victory. I don't know what to say to that. We have no cards left, so we can't do anything. We've lost, and we don't have any cards to play in the next round either, so we've lost the next round. So we've lost this game, despite seemingly having a pretty commanding victory in the first round, and it looked like we were on pace for a really strong victory in the second round. But man, what a turnaround for him. I think could have done hero ability and then pass. Could we have? Because weren't we looking at was the last card he played in the range row? And I totally just did not think of that. Because initially, he had a 1 in the range row, and he had the hero card that can't be lowered in the range row. So initially, it was not possible to actually make that do anything. Yeah, and it looked like in that last round, we had 0 cards, so we were destined to have a 0. But it seemed as though he may have been out of cards that had strength in them as well. So it was going to be 0-0 no matter what, and so yes, having the ability to automatically win in a tie, that was certainly helpful in that circumstance. So we did make some changes to our deck last time, and sample size of 1 here, but it seems like that made a pretty humongous difference. Because things went basically, oh my god. Things had gone basically perfectly, oh, hold on. Last time round, from a card draw standpoint. This time, less so. We're getting way too many weather cards. However, I do see the 3 Blue Stripes Commandos, and that is very intriguing. Catapult is also, I believe, our highest damage card. So that's not that bad. I'm thinking of taking a Clear Weather out. Okay, and Sheila back is decent. Not sure if we ought to abandon Kedwenny Siege Expert. I think we do, because he's actually, functionally, he deals 1 extra damage, so we only have 1 other siege weapon in our hand at the moment. So he's only a 1, but he has the +1 damage to all units in the siege row, besides him. So he's functionally a 2, which is better than a 1, but still not good. So I think we swap him out. And we got Zoltan? Did we have Zoltan before? Or Vest? I don't remember which one we had before. I think we got one of them. So I think that was ultimately beneficial. And there's Vest as well. Yeah, I'm basically just using the default deck at this point because we have not had the opportunity to purchase or win many cards yet, which is partially why this game is so difficult. We tried going against this guy, like, it feels like it's close to 10 times now. It's probably not that much, but it's been a little demoralizing, so I'm hopeful that we will be more successful in the future here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do actually a very similar strategy to what we did in the first round last time, and that is play all of our Blue Stripes Commandos because they deal double strength when they are next to other Blue Stripes Commandos. So we do that. Suddenly they're both 8s. Now we're looking much stronger. That hurts though. So he played a card that makes everyone in the front row drop down to a 1. Granted, that 1 is still doubled to a 2. We could use our Clear Weather here, which I think is very tempting. Our Clear Weather would remove that effect. I'm wondering if maybe we play this first and then go Clear Weather. I'm not sure if the order really matters that much. I think we do this. And we lull our opponent into thinking that they may be in decent shape here. Probably, my guess is that they're going to use their leader ability to view our hands after we do this. In which case, maybe the strategy isn't going to work very well, but let's give this a shot. Doubling the damage there, so that brings you up to 12. Now we could nerf that ranged row with our leader ability, in which case I believe you can be lowered. You can. You're not one of those super special enemies that can't be affected. So we could go that route, or we could... Yeah, actually, I think we do want to do that. We want to do the Clear Weather first. Order of operations here. Remove the frost in the front row to get these guys up and running. So then we will be taking the lead after that, and then if we're interested in still trying to go further, then we can still nerf the ranged row. We don't want to do that first, otherwise we'll also remove that nerf when we use the Clear Weather. We do this first. So we do this. Now we have a boatload of damage. What does that guy do? He's a spy. Okay, so this guy's kind of waving the white flag here. So this is the scenario where you would normally play a spy. Is they saw they were losing by a lot. So they're like, okay, there's no way we can win that round. So we're going to play a spy, make our opponent even stronger because it doesn't matter at this point. It's just overkill damage. And in doing so, that allows him to draw 2 additional cards so that he can invest further in future rounds. So, like here, for example, it's very tempting to pass. It's a little dangerous because if we pass, there's no turning back, and our opponent could turn around and say, oh, well, actually, I had another one of these Fighting Frost cards, so I'm going to turn everyone in this front row back to a 1, and then we may still lose. Actually, these guys would stick around as 3, because they would still get tripled, so that'd be, what, 3, 6, 9. You would drop all the way down to 1, so you'd be at 10. We would still lose 12 to 10. I think we take that risk, though, because I don't really want to invest any further in this round. I think we want to win by, well, ideally, just win without investing any further. You think he's going to pass 100%? Okay, let's go for it then. Hope that you pass. Give us the victory. Did not pass. Uh-oh. Investing more heavily. Way more heavily. What is he doing? He's going hard on this round. Okay, so he did win that round. He just played almost all of his cards. So that may actually be okay. I did not expect that to happen. He does get to bring a card back, though, so that does hurt. So there's the proper use of a medic is bringing back a strong card of your own. So now he's up to 11. He is, of course, quite good. However, this is looking like a good time to nerf the siege row. Drop him down, and drop him down to a 2 total strength. And he has only 2 cards remaining, so hopefully he will not be able to do much to win here. Like, he's passed already. So now all we have to do is jump in with either, or anyone really, other than our siege weapon, and we have this victory. I think we want to split between, I think we want to keep a close combat, a range, and a siege for the last round in case there are future weather effects. That way we're not fully invested in one row. So we do this, and we've won this round. Unexpectedly. Don't know what that achievement is. We draw an additional card because that is our special ability when we win a round. That does mean we have 4 additional strength here that we would not have otherwise had. And we're looking pretty good. Deliberately playing our weakest card in case one of our opponent's remaining cards is one of the ones that removes our strongest card. But this is... No, I'm just going to bite my tongue for now. I'm just going to bite my tongue. See what the last card is. Clear weather. So removes any weather effects. Well, there were none in effect there. So that means that I believe we have just won. So naturally that means that for good measure, I'm going to throw more cards out there and totally BM, because you have beaten us like 5 or 6 times in a row. So take this. I'm tempted to even totally BM and just play this and nerf our own characters just to rub it in his face. His digital face. Nah, we're good. We've finally done it. I am curious at this point how many rounds that took. I lost track, but that was not easy.